Welcome to the Daily Debrief, an inside look at today's big story. I'm Jason Dinant with KTNV Digital. And the big story today is that the jury is now deliberating in the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd. Here with me is Jeremy Chen. Now, you spoke to several people here in the Las Vegas Valley today in regards to what's going to happen with a guilty or not guilty verdict. Tell us a little bit about your story today.
Yeah, so today's story, basically the premise was, what could happen here in Las Vegas if a verdict from that trial did come down within hours or perhaps days. Who knows when that verdict will actually be coming down, as well as how one business is preparing for any sort of chaos or unrest that could happen in case there is a potential protest here in Las Vegas. So to do that, I spoke with Metro Police, I spoke with a UNLV professor, as well as a business owner who owns a restaurant in the downtown area. As far as Metro Police, I reached out to them, and basically they said they're ready for anything, and that was pretty much all they were willing to say at this point. And I suspect the reason being, if they were to be called out to some sort of unrest, they wouldn't want to reveal any sort of tactical strategies or anything like that. So I understand that, but Metro Police did tell me that they are ready for anything that may happen here locally. As far as the UNLV professor, he kind of had an interesting take on it, basically saying, no matter what comes out of the Derek Chauvin trial, pretty much there will be a protest. Now, the reasons for that protest will obviously depend on the verdict. Basically, if there is a not guilty verdict, there will be a lot of protests in terms of a perceived lack of justice in this case. If there is a guilty verdict, there'll still be protests in that they will still want to, raise awareness about the change they want to see in regards to police reform being the biggest thing on their minds right now. So that's kind of where they're at. As far as a business owner, he tells me he remembers the protests. You might remember back in May and June when we had the George Floyd protests in the downtown area. Now, thankfully for his specific business, there wasn't really too much damage, just some graffiti, some vandalism of that nature, which he was able to easily clean from what he told me. And he also told me during that time, a lot of the protesters, like 99% of them, were very peaceful, not trying to destroy stuff or anything like that. It was towards the very late at night when it seemed like there might have been some people looking to do some vandalism or trouble or something like that. So I asked him, are you going to board up your place? And he was like, no, I don't think it's going to get that crazy. But, if we do get a lot of protests and everything, I might send my staff home and close down the restaurant early and whatnot. But that's about the extent he would go to as far as, protecting his business and whatnot. Another interesting thing is that in his restaurant, I noticed he had a little picture of a George Floyd, remembering George Floyd in his restaurant, as well as very visible from the window. He had a sign that said Black Lives Matter as well. So you can kind of see where he falls in that category as far as what he sees in the trial. But as far as himself, he doesn't think it'll get too out of control, like we might have seen in other big cities across the country back in May and June.
Did you see any other businesses taking, precautions or steps to board up this afternoon while you were down there, or is that not happening in the downtown area?
Right now, I can safely tell you, at least in the area I was at, which is kind of around Container Park, the Carson Street area, Fremont Street area, I did not see anyone boarding up. Literally everything seemed basically normal. It was normal, as if it was a regular day. Obviously, everyone was still wearing masks. We're still in a pandemic, but other than that, it was pretty normal. Businesses were going as usual, or about as usual you can be in a pandemic. So nothing real changed as far as that. And even the owner was like, "I'm not going to board up." He thinks it's an eyesore and tacky. So there's that.
For even more on today's big story, visit ktnv.com and stay with us for more local coverage after the break right here on KTNV Streaming. Las Vegas news on your time.